We're going to start with a story of Maui. And let's see. This story is related to the first principle of Huna. And we'll show you, you'll learn how during the story, and we'll emphasize it afterwards. All right. This story takes place on the island of Kauai. For this story, I need someone to play Maui. Now, when we do these stories, it doesn't matter if it's a man or a woman playing a man or a woman. It really doesn't matter. So, but I need someone to play Maui. I need a volunteer or we can't do the storytelling. Okay? These are live stories. I need a Maui. And fellas, I'm going to need a lot of people as we go along. So at some point, get your mind ready to come up here. All right, so we're going to need a Maui, and we're going to need the other main character in this story is a customs officer. Customs officer is like, in French it's douane. What is it? Okay, all right. So who is, I need someone to be a customs officer. Oh, good. You can be over here for right now. Okay. So get up for a moment, Maui. Well, before you get up, let me explain. In old Hawaii, they did have customs. They did have a kind of a, more like sheriffs and sheriff's deputies is what they had for certain things. And when they had trade between the islands, why you were expected to give a part of what you brought to the ranking, the high chief of that area. And so they did have these kinds of things. Now, go ahead, sit down, Maui, for a moment. And just so you get the story here, here we've got the island of Kauai. Imagine this big circle here. And down at the bottom, what we call the west side, because it's further west from the center and it's south, is a place called Waimea. And in that whole area, which is now pretty much desert, for all the people back here, okay? Waimea is down in this corner, as you look at it. Used to be full of lagoons. You used to be able to take a canoe from the Waimea River and sail right into the lagoons and all through that whole area, way over to Polihale and the town of Mana. And it was all lagoons. It was incredible not a sanctuary, but a bird nesting place. They migrated all the time, and it was really just a lot full of water until they started sugarcane. And then the whole place was drained and planted in sugar, and that's why it looks like it does today. But at one time, it was full of lagoons. All right, so in this story, here is the ocean. And this is the Waimea River. And Maui is coming in, paddling his canoe. Let's put your little head here, Maui. Let's bring the canoe up a little further. We're going to pretend that you've sailed right up to about this point.
Okay.
Good. So paddle. Okay. Maui is paddling slowly. And as Maui's paddling in, here comes the customs officer. We'll give him a modern name. We'll call him Kimo. Okay? So Kimo, the customs officer, comes up and puts his hand up to stop Maui. Now, he knows Maui. He's heard of Maui. Maui the trickster is who he's heard of. And he knows Maui's got to be up to something. And he says, all right, Maui, get out of the boat. Maui has to get out of the boat. And he looks in the boat to see what he's trying, because he's pretty sure he's trying to smuggle something in. And what he sees is a canoe full of coconuts. But there's no tax on coconuts. So he sifts through the whole canoe, looking in the front, looking in the back. All he finds is coconuts. He says, Maui, I know you're up to something, but I can't find it. So he tells him to go ahead. So Maui goes ahead with his canoe and sails way past into the lagoon.
Okay.
All right. About a month later, here comes Maui in the Waimea River,
Okay.
right? Paddling again. Paddling, 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 paddling. Here's the canoe. All right, you can sit in the canoe. And Kimo stops him again. He says, Maui, what are you doing here again? And Maui just smiled. And he says, you must be up to something. All right, we're really going to check that canoe. So gets him out. This time he takes all of the coconuts out of the canoe. Okay? Nothing there but coconuts. He shakes the coconuts and they sound like coconuts. Shake a coconut. Okay, right. Sounds like a coconut. So he's a little upset, but he can't do anything. And he says, okay, Maui, go on. And Maui sails up the Waimea River into the lagoons and out of sight. A month later, here comes Maui sailing a canoe. I'll make it a little short for you. But this time, exactly the same thing happens. Kimo stops Maui, empties the canoe, looks on the underside of the canoe. Well, let's let him look on the other side of the canoe, okay? Check the bottom of the canoe, just in case there's a secret compartment. All right, no secret compartment. So he gives him the canoe back and very angrily sends him on his way. And Maui goes up the river and into the lagoons. Now, this happens for about 6 months, and then Maui doesn't come anymore. And time goes on, and years pass, and one day, Kimo's sitting outside of his hut, just kind of looking at the sunset. They have beautiful sunsets on that side of the island. And down the trail, here comes Maui, walking slowly. Now, he doesn't get up. He stays there. But he does a Hawaiian signal. He signals him in and he says, hey, Maui, hele mai ai, which means come and eat. Now, that was the polite way of greeting someone, like a stranger or a friend on the road. Whether you had anything to eat or not, you would say, hele mai ai, come and eat. So Maui comes over and sits down with him. Now, they weren't actually sitting in chairs. This is for your benefit, okay? They sat on mats. Oh, they sat, usually. So they're sitting and they're sharing some poi. Here's a bowl of poi that you're sharing. Okay, good. And then finally they sit back and Kimo asks Maui, he says, Maui, you gotta tell me what happened. You must have been smuggling something. I couldn't find anything, so what is it that you were smuggling? And Maui looked at him and smiled and said, canoes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. Now, some of you may have heard similar stories in other places in the world. We find that this happens a lot, where a same general theme of a story somehow or other finds its place to Asia and Europe. And this is a story that was found in the Middle East. Lots of people have told me they heard a similar story in Europe. It's found in India, and it's found in Hawaii. So it's very interesting. Maybe we had a lot more traveling shamans in the past than anybody realizes. But so you find similar themes sometime. Okay? All right, so now that one obviously is from the idea that the world is what you think it is. Okay? You're going to look for what you think is there. And if you don't broaden your vision, you're going to miss something. Okay? So good type of story to teach that first principle.